Hello and welcome to Network Africa with me, Cynthia Are. Now, after years of dispute and fighting, the smell of peace is looming in Mali as the Malian government has signed a ceasefire deal with rebels in a bid to end long-running unrest in the country's north. Now, as part of a UN-sponsored peace process, both sides agreed to an immediate cessation of hostilities, and the deal was signed during talks which began in Algeria on Monday. French and African troops intervened in Mali in January 2013 to stop the southern advance of al-Qaeda-linked fighters on the capital, Bamako. They were eventually expelled from towns across the north, but both nomadic Tuareg rebels and other Islamist militant groups have remained active. The deal signed on Thursday was agreed between the Malian government and an alliance of 6 armed groups. According to the terms of the truce, both sides agreed to tackle the causes of lasting tensions in the region. Rebels are seeking more autonomy for the north, and that's a region they call Azawad. Mali's leaders have rejected autonomy but say they are willing to consider devolved local powers. We're still looking at good news, and it's a fantastic way to end the week for the families of 158 women and children who were abducted by Boko Haram militants in northeastern Nigeria, as the abductees have been returned. They were kidnapped last December during a raid on Katarko village in Yobe State and spent about a month in captivity. The circumstances of their release are not clear, but they were eventually handed over to the state authorities for counseling and rehabilitation. Officials said the reunion in the capital, Damaturu, was nothing short of jubilant. In April last year, the Islamist insurgents caused worldwide outrage when they kidnapped more than 200 girls from a boarding school in Chibok in Borno State, which borders Yobe. The schoolgirls have yet to be rescued despite military assistance from countries such as China, France, the United Kingdom, as well as the US. Now, speaking of assistance, as the fight against Boko Haram continues, a consignment of U.S. military equipment has arrived in Cameroon to aid in the fight against the terrorist group Boko Haram. That's part of an increasing flow of international assistance to Central African nations as they prepare to deploy a regional military force to counter Boko Haram's insurgency in Nigeria, Cameroon, and Chad. The United States ambassador to Cameroon, Michael Hoza, said the military equipment is a sign of Washington's firm commitment to help Cameroon counter the growing regional terrorist threat posed by the Boko Haram sect. The Cameroon Defense Minister, that's Edgar Alain Mebengo, said American assistance is vital to counter Boko Haram's nearly 6-year insurgency, which spilled over from Nigeria to Cameroon in 2013 and more recently into neighbors Chad and Niger. The assistance and the knowledge, according to him, that the international community is rendering in support of the fight has boosted the morale of Cameroon's military. Now, it's been a terrible day in the Somali capital, Mogadishu, where some 20 people, including senior officials, have been killed in an attack on a hotel in the capital. Now, the Central Hotel, often frequented by politicians, was hit by a car bomb and a suicide attack. Gunmen then stormed the hotel mosque and opened fire during Friday prayers. The Somali government disclosed that an MP and Mogadishu's deputy mayor were among the dead. Islamist militant group Al-Shabaab has said it was behind the attack. The al-Qaeda-linked group has been driven out of the country's major towns, but still controls many rural areas in the south. An Al-Shabaab spokesman disclosed that the group was responsible and carried out the killings, while the victims were praying because they are apostates. Now, in the past, the group has said that it would target members of the government, and it looks as though they have kept to their word following this attack. Earlier this month, Al-Shabaab shot dead an MP in a drive-by shooting in Mogadishu. Joining us now live via telephone is Major Stanley Malisaba, who is the Uganda contingent spokesman. Thank you so much for speaking with us, Major, on Network Africa.
You're welcome, my sister.
Now, this is a very unfortunate development in the Somali capital, Mogadishu. Could you give us more details about this attack?
Well, I cannot give you details. I will refer you to the Somali government spokesman. But what I have now is that it is confirmed there was an attack, an Al-Shabaab attack in the Mogadishu city, and they were targeting a soft target of a hotel. So there was a blast, a bomb blast, which actually killed some people, including 2 members of parliament and a deputy mayor of Mogadishu city. So the situation is intense, but they know this is an enemy that is targeting a soft target. These are civilians, they are innocent people, but the enemy is targeting them, killing them, just at the hotel facility.
Now, would it be fair to say at this point that Somalia let their guard down, especially considering the fact that Al-Shabaab had made these threats in the past, saying they would target government officials? Would it be fair to say they let their guard down?
Your network is a problem. I'm not getting you properly.
I will repeat the question, Major. I said, would it be unfair to say that the Somali government let down its guard, especially considering the fact that Al-Shabaab had made these threats in the past?
Al-Shabaab has been dispersed, yes, and it's true. They have been defeated, but these are isolated incidents. They have been displaced from his stronghold, and now you can imagine he's targeting a soft target.
Now, how can attacks like these be prevented from occurring in the future? They've been quite frequent in recent times. But is there something more that could be done in order to prevent incidents like this from recurring?
You meant to prevent. You cannot prevent them. They are within the people. They are Al-Shabaab. They are looking at you cannot tell this is the Al-Shabaab, this is not Al-Shabaab. So it comes at a time when people are busy, and that's when he can do whatever he wants to do. So you cannot talk of preventing them because they are within the people. You cannot tell when they are striking.
Now, see, it's based on what you just said about not being able to differentiate who is Al-Shabaab and who is not. Is there a way to come to a compromise, an understanding between the Somali government and the Al-Shabaab members that could possibly lead to coming to a compromise and these incidents being laid to rest?
I'm glad you are talking from Nigeria, and also you can see how Boko Haram is studying Nigerian government. This is an enemy that you cannot talk to. You cannot say there could be a compromise. How do you reach a compromise when you don't have the capacity to talk to him? So this enemy here is not a person you can talk to. It's not somebody you can negotiate with. So for them, they are out to kill. They are out to do whatever they want. That's to discredit the AMISOM and the Somali National Forces. That's the only project they have.
Now, based on your experience, Major, could you give us anything to hold on to for a possible way forward from this situation?
The possible way forward is that AMISOM forces will continue to fight the enemy in conjunction with the Somali National Forces. Somali National Forces are fighting. They are doing their best, and they are being supported by AMISOM forces. That's the way forward. Our resilience is still to fight the enemy and finish him up in Somalia. But we shall do that together with the commitment of the Somali National Forces and the Somali National Government.
Major Stanley Malisaba, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for speaking with us on Network Africa.
Thank you very much.
Major Stanley Malisaba is the Ugandan contingent spokesman. He was giving us more details concerning the Mogadishu blasts which occurred today.